So growing up, there was this John Deere video, and I was probably 3 or 4 years old, and I would watch that John Deere video every single day. And I was born in 1994. I turned 31 this year, so this is many years ago. VCH tape I would put in there, turn this thing on 3 times a day, and I always wanted to be a farmer. My grandpa was a farmer. I knew growing up, without a doubt, I was going to be a farmer. And then as I got older, obviously things changed, ended up in the military, but I was dead set on being a farmer. Here I am today, ex-military, now realtor, but someday, I've been watching a lot of Yellowstone, and someday I'm gonna have me a ranch, a big old farm with a few thousand acres, but that will be in the distant future after I sell a bunch of houses like this.
So what was growing up like?
Growing up was very interesting. I was actually homeschooled for the first 7 years of my schooling. I lived about a mile back in the woods down a long dirt lane. My grandma, and once she passed, my uncle lived in that house, and then my other uncle lived in another house on that lane, and then I was at the very back. And we had about 100 acres. We were surrounded by a creek. We had 16 horses, 50 beagles, about 100 and some chickens. I don't know if you know what a guinea is, but we had tons of guineas all over the place, rabbits. It was basically a zoo. And we were homeschooled at that time. We really didn't do a whole lot of school. We were always working on the farm. Me and my brother would go out playing in the woods. I had 4 siblings, and it was somewhat chaos. And my parents split up when I was, I believe, about 6 years old, and that was pretty tough. You know, my dad was always working. My mom was kind of crazy, honestly. It was not a great environment, to say the least. I'll get into that in another time. And then I did get put into the Mennonite school in Greenwood, Delaware. When I was in 7th grade, I got held back a grade, and I had amazing teachers, and it was an incredible school. Caught me back up. I tell you one thing, I was 15 years old and had big falling out with my mom, moved in with my dad, and I actually couldn't read. All I did was work on the farm. Like, I really didn't do school. And that's why I'm saying the Mennonite school, when I went there, I got held back a grade and went there in 7th grade. They called me up. They got me up to speed enough to where as soon as I turned 18, I went and took the Army ASVAB, signed up for the Army as soon as I possibly could, and then ended up leaving 2 weeks after high school and got the heck out of Delaware. Nothing against Delaware, nothing against that. I just needed to build a new life for myself, and to get past that point, that was, pretty tough. But I will say the things I took from it was, working every day, really good work ethic. I had to do a lot of problem solving constantly to figure out how to survive out there. And there was a lot of scarcity at that time. And that sort of gave me the drive that I have today to, just want to sort of prove what people told me I would be wrong. And I'll give a little tidbit of that. Did not have a great relationship with my mom. And I remember her telling me most days I dig ditches my whole life. And that was all I was ever going to do, because I wasn't focused enough on school. I wasn't doing the right things. And it's pretty surreal to be in the position I am today at 30, selling the homes that we sell, doing what we do with the clients, serving them millions and millions and millions of dollars of real estate, 26 million sold over the past 12 months. It's pretty amazing to be here and to prove her wrong. I kind of love that. And that's been a big driving part of my life over the past decade or so, to, leave Delaware, go into the military, be everything I could be there, leave the military, come into the world of real estate, investments, all of that, and literally do everything I can possibly do to be the best I can be. So, as much as my childhood was not a normal childhood, I guess nobody's really is, it definitely shaped me into who I am today. So I'm very, very grateful for that, to say the least. Joining the Army was something that was not on my radar. by the time I got to high school, I had came up with the idea of starting a landscaping company. So I left the whole farming thing and was like, I'll start a landscaping company. And then I had a mentor in high school that taught me about the gym, got me into working out, and started working out a ton. I met this guy in the gym who was in the National Guard, and he was like, yeah, dude, you basically get paid to work out and it's awesome. We get, he'd been deployed a few times, loved what he was doing with the National Guard. So I started looking into the Army, and to me, it was a way I could do something bigger than myself. I always had some sort of desire inside of me to do something that was just bigger than me, to have some sort of impact. I didn't want to, live my life however long that might be and not leave this world without leaving an impact on this world. And since I didn't have the financial resources to go to college, I didn't have in my opinion at that time, the IQ to go to college and be successful there. The military was really my only option to go to a place where I didn't need resources. I could show up there and make a difference, make an impact. And if that's all I could give to my country, my community, and also escape the situation I was in, that was something that I really wanted to do. And so as soon as I could, signed up for the Army. 3 days after my junior year, so the summer between my junior year and senior year, went and signed up. And it was definitely probably the best decision I ever made in my entire life, because it completely reshaped my mindset, my ability, my discipline, everything. So I would never go back and do that different, even with the broken back and all the pain I wake up with every day. It was truly one of the best things I ever did for myself, and really put me where I am today in the positions that I'm in. Probably the biggest lesson I took from the Army was giving me a new view about life, understanding that there's consequences for every action, understanding that things are bigger than just money. It comes down to your word, your honor, your pride. Everything's more than just you, and nothing's free either. It just gave me the ability to look into the future, see the consequences of my actions, make decisions faster. It just totally reshaped the way that I function. And I look today, honestly, in the civilian world I'm in now of real estate, and I see the people who are ex-military, who were successful soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, and you just see something a little bit different about them, to where they're always putting the mission first, and they have a sense of purpose, if they can find that purpose after getting out, that drives them to achieve more. And I think that was one of the biggest lessons, was just always putting the mission first, having a greater purpose than myself, where today it's my clients. And that's just had such a tremendous impact in my life over the past few years since getting out. I haven't been out that long. I was selling real estate while I was still recruiting. I was infantry and then a recruiter. So yeah, I would say mission, purpose, taking care of my people, my clients. I treat them like my soldiers now. I was kind of lost after getting out of the Army, a little bit depressed, not having that same purpose and soldiers to take care of. And it took me a few years to look at my clients in the same way I looked at my soldiers and care for them, with that same sort of I'll do anything for them capacity. So I think that's what's helped me the most with real estate, honestly. So my first investment, that was an interesting one. I was still very much in the Army. I believe I was a PFC or specialist, and I've been saving my money, and I started reading a bunch of books. A book was given to me by my first mentor. The book was Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Totally changed my view on life, because my view before reading that book was that I was just going to have to do the Army for life. I wasn't smart enough to make money. I didn't have the family connections or family money to go make more money. And that book taught me that I didn't have to be smart. I didn't need connections. I needed to start saving money, buy assets, stop buying liabilities, reduce my liabilities, and just start, like literally just begin. So I went into Fidelity, which is an investment company, and out in Colorado Springs. I was living there at the time. I was stationed out there, and sat down with a representative. He was really good and taught me a bunch about the stock market. So I went and bought some mutual funds. And this was back in, I want to say 2017. And as soon as I bought those mutual funds on a Friday, that following Monday, I was out at a live shoot house. And I remember opening up my phone when we were on break and seeing my account that was like $7,000 at that time had dipped by almost $3,000. I was like, oh no, like what did I do? Why did I buy it this time? It's been going up so much. And I remember thinking to myself, if I quit now and I sell, that's why so many people never invest and they never make it through some of those beginning losses to get to all the gains. And so I stuck with it. I kept buying stocks. And then as time went on, I kept saving more money and putting all that money into the stock market. And over time, then I got my first house. I used my VA loan. Then as soon as I bought my first house, I bought a rental property within the next 30 days. And then another one about 40 days later, and then two more about 60 days after that. So I started buying up property like crazy. And I used that money I'd made in investing to move it over to real estate. So that was my first, and it was ugly, but don't give up. Like whenever you buy your first investment, you're going to have hardship. And that's why most Americans don't own any of the stock market. They don't own real estate, and they kind of just stay at that same place paycheck to paycheck, because the market, you're going to pay like a beginner tax. I'll call it that. You're going to pay a beginner tax. You're going to lose money, and you just got to persevere through that. I have a tattoo on my arm here that says persistence, and that was something my grandfather always told my dad. And you got to just be persistent. You can never quit. And that's going to get you, you're going to make more returns from that than trying to chase some quick buck somewhere. So you got to be persistent with it. So buying the rental properties, that was what transitioned me into getting my real estate license, because I bought my first house, I bought my first rental, my second rental, my third rental, my fourth and fifth rental. By that time I was like, okay, I know the contract. I know how this whole system goes, the negotiations. I was already recruiting for the Army, so I'd done a bit of sales. I was top recruiter in the Baltimore Battalion, which is about 400 and some recruiters in that. And I was like, why am I not representing myself? Why am I not buying and selling these myself? So I ended up taking my license, the classes, took about a month, got my real estate license, and that was about 4.5 years ago, and the rest is history. So I've been loving it ever since. But I was an investor before I was a realtor, which I believe helped me a tremendous amount, because I don't tell anyone to buy anything that I wouldn't buy or I wouldn't do. I'm not ever asking someone to do something that I've not already done myself. So that gives me a lot of confidence when I work with my clients. And it's just it's a better system, in my opinion. It's hard to buy a house. And I'm not hating on younger realtors who don't own property, but it's just hard to sell something you've never owned yourself. So it definitely helped me be an investor before being a realtor. So my day-to-day as a real estate agent is pretty chaotic. I never know what's going to happen. I know the phone's going to ring right now. I got my phone sitting in the back of the car, and I got two problems I need to handle right now. But I wanted to do this video for you guys, teach you a little bit about me and who I am. But a normal day is fairly chaotic. There's always going to be a few fires to put out, a few things to fix. But I've been doing it for long enough now to where I know what problems are coming. If a problem comes, I know how to fix it quickly and effectively. But it's a lot of miles on the car. I usually put 300 to 400 miles on a normal day of going to properties over on the Eastern Shore, up in Pennsylvania, up down to West Virginia, somewhere way far out in Maryland. Maybe it's a few miles close to me in Frederick. Like, I'm always driving somewhere. I'm always having to take the computer with me everywhere I go so I can get a document out quick and get it signed. Going to closings, walkthroughs. I was just at a house before here at a showing where the key literally would not work to open the house. And that's the first. And I show a lot of houses and the key wouldn't work. So now we got to go back tomorrow. So now I got to move tomorrow's schedule to get back there. So it's constantly changing, which I love because I remember one of my goals early on in my early 20s was to never work a desk job. Like I didn't want to do the same thing every day. And with real estate, every single day is different and there's 1,000 things that can happen. And there you have plenty of variety, but I always have certainty that I can fix it and get the deal done for my client. A lot of phone calls too, a ton of phone calls. I'm always on the phone, constantly. Phone is always ringing. I'll be on one phone call, I get 2 phone calls. While I'm on that call, as soon as I get on that call, I got to call back the other 2 people I just missed, and another one will call me then. I got to call them back. So I spend a lot of my time on the phone talking to clients, answering texts, emails, just nonstop most days. Mm. Somebody in your 20s, if you're out there right now and you feel like you're spinning your wheels, if you're I mean, some of this will apply for the ladies, I can at least say for the men, I remember my 20s very well, and they were definitely very tough. You don't really know the right thing to do because you haven't done it for long enough. So it's very hard to make a confident decision in a career or a business or an investment because you just don't quite have enough wisdom to base a decision off of or enough experience. Experience turns into wisdom. I would tell you, find yourself. It's very hard to find a good mentor, somebody who's gonna has been there, done that. But if you can do that, find somebody who you can go to and not take all day and run around with them and try to talk their ear off. But find someone in your life that's been there and done it and go to them. I always want to be a resource for people around me that need help with investing, with real estate, all those different things. So, feel free to reach out to me. I'm going to try to get back to you as quickly as possible. But definitely, one, find somebody who's been there and done it, find a mentor. Two, find someone or find a thing that pays you well. Everyone talks about find the thing you love, find your passion. I'm telling you, if you find a thing that pays you well and you can sort of like it, and you start getting paid really well for doing it because you become obsessed with it, you get really good at it, you're going to fall in love with it. Okay, do I want to sell real estate every single day? Absolutely. Is it my 100% passion? Not necessarily, but I know that I'm really good at it and I get compensated very well for it and I love it. It takes care of me, it allows me to invest, it pays my bills. It allows me to build a team around me of people that I can trust, that support me, that I can make their lives better. It's hard to do that if you're not making any money at that thing that you're doing. And I'm not trying to discourage you from doing something you love, but you really should study that thing before you go head first into it and make sure it can pay you well and it's going to take care of you in the future. So that would be one of my best advices for someone. And try a lot of stuff too when you're in your 20s because I tried so many things and I would do it very quickly. Uh, the phrase fail forward is a phrase that I really love because a lot of people will just overanalyze stuff. Really smart people are notorious for this too, to where they'll sit there and analyze and analyze and analyze and never make a decision versus if you just made the wrong decision, if you'd made a decision and moved forward 2 months earlier, you could have failed for that 2 months, taken what you learned from those failures and put it into that thing you're going to succeed in. I don't have all the exact details on this, but Abraham Lincoln failed over and over and over and over and over. Every Senate race, every congressional race, every legislative race he went to, he failed. He lost them all up until he was 52 when he ran for president and he won and he saved America, saved the Union. So don't be so discouraged and avoid failure so much. Take risks, especially while you're 20, especially before you have a whole, 3 kids to support, 5 kids, a wife. When you're a young man and even, young woman out there, if you're getting after it, take risks, fail quickly, find a thing that's going to work for you. I know when I turned 30, sort of everything changed for me. I did not like my 20s. I'm grateful for my 20s, but they were tough because I was always looking and trying to find the right thing. And it takes time. It takes a lot of experience and failure to have the wisdom that you need to be really successful in the marketplace. Would it be detrimental to try too many things in your 20s? Not necessarily, because you're going to learn something in every single one of those things. A quote that Tony Robbins always says, is one of my favorite quotes ever, is life happens for you, not to you. So you're going to get into some of these situations, try some of these things, get screwed over by a business partner, have the market turn on you when you start this business, lose a bunch of money, and always a lesson in there. There's always a lesson. And if you're going to be an entrepreneur or be successful in business, whatever you want to call it, you have to have the ability to fail and keep going, and fail and take a lesson from it. What did you learn from this? Sit down, figure it out, and move on, because you can't be a victim, especially in this economy. No one's going to come take care of you. No one's going to come save you. Um, you can't really try too many things, but do it quickly. That would be my advice to someone. Buying my first home, the most important thing I learned was that there were so many things I didn't know. I read books on real estate, rentals, ownership for 3 years, 3.5 years before I bought my first house. And boy, did I not know what I was doing. I mean, there were just so many things. And what changed that was after I bought that first rental, and when I went to buy my second one, I had a mentor who had a lot of properties already, a friend from growing up, and he sat down with me and taught me all this stuff. I was like, oh my gosh, how did I miss all of this? How did I not know this? Why was this not in the book that I read, 3 years ago? So there's just so many unknowns. And if you try to figure everything out before just pulling the trigger and taking the jump, you'll probably just never do it. So on one side of that, just do it, adjust quickly. And this is one of the things the military taught me was if there's a problem, fix it. Fix it quick, move forward. Fix it quick, move forward, because you're never going to have the full picture, and you're never going to know every detail before buying your first property, for doing something. Not many people have bought property and held it for 5+ years and lost money. It's very hard to do that. If you're trying to flip stuff quick and buy things and paying too much, yeah, you can lose a lot of money that way. But if you're buying property, you're holding it, you're getting, you're working with a really good realtor who's guiding you through that process, it is very hard to lose money. So there's not many things you're going to do wrong necessarily, but just be willing to adapt and move forward quickly. Yeah, so the biggest thing that's helped me as a real estate agent is truly always putting my clients' needs above my own, never making the sale or the purchase of that property, making it for me. It has to always be about the client, because as soon as someone senses that you're not 100% in it for them, and we do, as realtors, we have a fiduciary responsibility to our clients to serve them in their very best interests. If you're not doing that always, people will feel that. We have a phrase called commission breath, and it's something that young agents are notorious for, because maybe they quit their job and they started real estate. Don't do that. It's a terrible idea. But they quit their job, they start real estate, and they got to get this first sale to pay their rent, to pay their car payment, whatever it is. And you could just feel that this person doesn't really care about the property. They're just trying to get you to buy it. And that's, as humans, we've developed over thousands and thousands of years, and we have a really good BS detector. And you feel that in someone when they're full of crap and they're not actually give working in your best interest. So never do that. You need to make sure you got enough money aside to always take care of your bills, and never have to force a property or force a sale. I'll happily get on the phone with someone and tell them, I don't care if you buy this property or not. If you don't feel like it's right for you and your family, do not buy it. If you don't feel like selling right now is the right thing to do, because hard sellers market right now, you're going to take a little bit of a loss when you're selling. If you don't want to take that loss and you can hold the property, don't sell. I don't need you to sell your property right now. I want you to do what's best for you, because I am about to turn 31 years old, and I'm going to be doing this for another 30, 40, 50 years. And I know that if I serve you every single time through every single transaction, you're always going to come back to me. And the average person is buying and selling a house every 5 to 7 years. So we're going to do many deals together. I never want you to feel pressured by me. I want you to feel like I always have your very best interests in mind, and that I would never do anything in my interest but solely for you. Yeah, so if someone came to me and had a bunch of money sitting around, they needed to do something with it because inflation's tearing through it and all that stuff. Uh, Real estate, stock market, buying a business. There's 1,000 different things you could do with that money. There's 1,000 different properties you could go buy. There's 5,000 stocks you could go purchase. It really comes down to that person and what is best for them, their lifestyle, their wants, needs, goals. And so it would take about a nice long phone call with them to figure out what their vision is for the future, what their 5-year goal is, what their 10-year goal is, to best advise them of where what they could do with that money to help it grow. Um, I can't just give a blanket statement. It's different for everyone. So I just would have to have a conversation with that person because there's no really bad investment. There's different times and different phases of life, and everyone has different needs. And so you got to find that need and support it. So my favorite place to travel was, and I'm stay tuned because I got another part of this. My favorite place to travel was Acadia National Park, Bar Harbor, Maine. Such a beautiful place. I've been going there since I was younger, and it's a magical place to say the least. It is the best place on the East Coast by far. Scenic, the food, the culture, everything there is amazing. Uh, but I did just come back from Jackson Hole recently, and I think that might be my new favorite place to go to. It was so amazing. You got the Grand Tetons right there. I didn't make it up to Yellowstone yet, but it was a beautiful, incredible place with amazing people. It's a very wealthy area, but people weren't they weren't too full of themselves, I guess you could say. They're very nice and approachable. I just loved it there. It was an incredible place. So I'd say Bar Harbor, Jackson Hole. Love going down to the Keys, Key West, Florida. That's amazing. Just driving through the Keys, one of the best things ever. I've been able to travel a ton because getting stationed around with the military, and I love taking little weekend trips. But that'd be my top three: Bar Harbor, Jackson Hole, Key West. I have a lot of favorite TV shows. I don't watch a ton of TV. I love movies because movies I can start and finish. I have a little bit of an obsessive, addictive personality. So when I turn on a show, I just won't stop watching it. But a few of my favorite shows would be Billions. That's a really cool show. Every time I watch that, I want to start a hedge fund. It's amazing. It was based on true story. And then Secession, which is based around Fox News and that whole family feud they have going on where all the kids are trying to take power and all that mess. I'm currently watching Yellowstone. I'm loving it. After being out in Jackson Hole, I'm like, I need to get a ranch. One of my goals, I was thinking about join the army, and then when I get done the army, did my 20 years, 25 years, get out. I worked on a buffalo farm for a few years in high school, and I wanted to go out west and buy myself some land and start my own buffalo farm out there. So I'm like watching Yellowstone right now. I'm like, man, I should go get me a ranch out there, give me a few thousand acres, put some bison on it. So I got a bunch of different ones, but it ebbs and flows. Honestly, I don't listen to a ton of podcasts. I used to listen to a bunch, but one of my favorite ones would be Tony Robbins. I love Tony. He's such a genuine person that actually cares for people. In the whole self-development space, there's a lot of scammers out there and a lot of people that just do not have your best interests in mind. Tony is one of those people that owns, I believe it's 120 companies now. He's worth like $1 billion. He's not trying to get your money. He doesn't care about your money. He just wants to give you good advice. He had a really difficult life growing up that I can sort of look at his life and see some of myself in him. And I've always connected with him at that level. And he's just a good person. I love his podcasts. I was listening to a few of them the other day. I usually go on his YouTube. He's great, though. I definitely recommend him. Yes. So been to a few of Tony Robbins seminars. Absolutely amazing. Literally changed my life in a bunch of different ways. I actually hired one of his coaches for about 3 years straight when I was still in the military. That's helped me a lot with sales, how I learned sales. I was actually a horrible recruiter until I got one of his coaches and started helping me with sales. I just didn't know what I was doing. So, yeah, definitely been to a few of his seminars. They're incredible. Walked on fire. I walked on fire at one of his seminars. 1,800 degrees were the coals. about from me past the fountain behind me here. It was crazy. I don't know how I did it, but there were a few thousand of us there. We all did it. Nobody got hurt. It was amazing. Big fan of Tony. I like Tony a lot. My favorite restaurant, let's say Frederick, Maryland, in Frederick, Maryland, is probably gonna be Dutch's Daughter. I think that you get the most bang for your buck there. You got to go down to the dungeon, which is underneath the restaurant. It's so nice down there, super classy, sort of medieval, like what's sitting behind me here. It's an amazing restaurant, some of the best food I've ever had. Cannot recommend that enough. My name's Luke Schlabach. Thank you so much for watching this here. I wanted to do something to give you a little idea who I am, because obviously we go online if you're looking for a realtor right now to work with, and you just don't know who you're getting these days. And so I wanted to put something together, just gave more depth to me, to show you why I am the way I am and how I work and some of my thoughts and beliefs. And so I hope this has been helpful. I hope I get the opportunity to serve you and work with you, whether it's buying, selling, investing, big stuff like this, much smaller properties. We work with it all. We would love to help and support you. Thank you for watching. If you have questions, I'm sure my contact information is below here. Just reach out to me. See you soon.